What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about 3 things that wide receivers need to apply to their game in order to be a great wide receiver, okay? So we're going to be talking about the 3 most common mistakes that I see wide receivers make that they don't apply to their games, and this is why they don't get to that next level, that Division I level, or just even that highest level, or even just a level of college football, okay? So I hope this video gives you guys some value, helps you, teaches you a few different things about the ins and outs of route running, but also, fellas, if you guys want over 40-plus wide receiver route running and press release drills, check out that very first link in the description for our route running Bible. What you'll get access to is a full 49-minute long video on how to improve your route running in 10 days. It's a 2-week step-by-step schedule, specific drills that you need to do to improve your route running in only 10 days, and then a 48-minute long video on 20 different press releases, when to use those releases, and drills to work on those specific releases. So again, everything you need to do to be a complete route runner on the field. Hope we get you guys on that soon. Very first link in the description. Let's get started with this video. So first route we're looking at is a jerk route, okay? So now, what is a jerk route? A jerk route is built off of a slant, a whip route, and then we're selling the whip route, okay? So now, a jerk, like I said, it's slant, you fake to the whip, you give one step, then you break back to the inside. This is a great route to use on the goal line. You see guys like Stevie Johnson use this all the time. Jarvis Landry, I've seen use this a couple times. Those are guys that use it at that highest level, right? So now let's take a look at this. So when I come off here, the number one thing that you got to be able to do as a wide receiver to make yourself great, to make yourself stand out, is you've got to make your routes look the same, right? So when you're running a whip route, it's got to look exactly like a slant till a certain point. If you're running a jerk route, it's got to look like a whip route to a certain point, then you break back to the inside. Much like I'm running a comeback, it's got to look like a fade. Much like I'm working an out and up, it must look like an out before I get to the up portion of the route. Everything's got to look the exact same. That's how you become a salesman. So the main thing is, to be a great wide receiver, you got to be a good salesman. That's what everybody at that next level, everybody who's even the league at the Division I level, they're all really good at making their routes look the same, right? So when I break to this slant, you see what this receiver does here? He commits his shoulders, commits his hips. He's got good speed to the slant. That's what we got to be able to do to make this DB sit on it, right? He's sitting on this thing. He doesn't want to get beat to the inside because, again, you look where his leverage is. He's inside shade, right? So I want to threaten him to where he doesn't want to go. I want to threaten him to the inside. Now when I break this thing back off like a whip route, I want to drop my hips violently. I want to shoot my weight down just like how I would on a whip. I want to actually threaten like I'm accelerating back to where all this grass is, because trust me, when a DB's inside shade, he's going to be over anxious to jump to the outside because he knows that's where he's giving up. His help's to the outside. He wants us to run there. So if I even move him off that platform, he's going to want to jump to the outside. So again, we're trying to make it all look the same. I'm trying to make this route look like a whip route with my upper half, with my hip drop, with my speed, with everything. Now, when we sell in this whip route, you see how he gives this little head fake, right? He squares up. He's got his shoulders and his hips parallel towards the line of scrimmage, and he gives this little head fake to the outside, right? So that makes it look like it's a whip route, right? So every single route has to look the same. There's a plan off of every single route, right? From a hitch route all the way to a 15 back to 12 comeback. You got to make it look similar. If you're running a hitch route and you're breaking off your second inside step at 5 yards, those 4 steps that you take, those got to be looking like you're just trying to run right past the DB, right? You're running a 10-yard out, those 6 steps, like you're breaking off your third inside, those 6 steps got to look like you're pushing vertical, right? Everything has to look the same. You got to make your routes build off of one another. Guys like Devontae Adams, another one's Justin Jefferson. They're making their releases. They're making their moves at the top of the route. They all look similar. It's not rocket science. You don't need to know 30, 40 different things out there. You got to know all the moves, know all the releases, the reason why behind it, but you pick 5 or 6 different things and you're ready to roll and you're ready to rock with a game so you can get that DB on his toes, and when he starts thinking and he starts anticipating, that's when I should win. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. So again, number one thing that you got to do to make sure that you're a great wide receiver is make your routes look the exact same. Let's watch this thing full speed one more time. Great job selling the whip, giving that little head fake back to the outside, then accelerating back over the middle. So now, next thing I want to talk about here is how wide receivers need to be able to push vertical and don't get so concerned with steps at the top of the route. Be concerned with running and dropping your hips. Okay, so we're looking at this route from Jerry Jeudy. Now, and I think this was originally designed to be a curl because I think he comes back to the ball and sees that his quarterback's scrambling out, so he accelerates out towards the sideline. That's the thing that I want to talk about here. I want to talk about just the break point, right? After the break point, I could care less really what happens on this play. But you see, when we get this DB to turn his hips and run, I should win every single time. The position this DB's in right now, it should be easy money for us to get separation. Now, this is what a lot of people don't do. So the second thing to be a great wide receiver is eliminate time spent at the top of the break. Don't be focusing on steps, right? So when Jeudy gets down here, let's count how many steps he takes, right? He snaps down, snaps with the outside leg. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He takes 5 steps. Now, a lot of people that don't know what they're talking about will be like, oh, he's taking too many steps at the top of the break. Oh, he's wasting too much time. That's not the case, fellas. The goal is to eliminate time. I guarantee you his 5 steps right here is a lot faster than some guys who they claim to me that they could take 2 steps on a break like this. You can't do that running full speed. The only guy that's ever been able to really take 2 steps on a 45 break is Ocho Cinco, and the way that guy moves is just insane, right? Now, not everybody can move like that, but what you can do, what you can take from his game, is the fact that he would sell vertical all the way up into his route, and he'd have that violent drop of his hips where he can just drop down. If it's like a 90 cut, yeah, for sure you could take 2 steps. But again, it's not that simple. It's not just about eliminating steps at the top of the break, because what I could do is I could go run 15 yards downfield like Judy right now, and then I could slow down from yard 10 all the way to 15, and then I could make 3 steps on a break too and make it look real crisp. But guess what? You slowed down, so that DB slowed down. Now he's all over that break, and he could get out of his break in 2 steps, right? A DB can do that. He can get out of his break just as quick as we can, and he's going to make a break on that ball. The goal is to get him to do this. The goal is to get him to commit to the vertical, and I have a sudden drop of my hips that's violent, and then he shoots by, right? Because trust me, if a DB doesn't know when he's going to break, he's doing a guessing game. Think of it like this. Think of it like you're running downfield, and let's say you are running, let's say you got a coach with you, and let's say you're literally running as fast as you can, and a coach says drop. And when he says drop, you got to drop your hips and be able to come out of a break on a 45. That's what DB is. He's looking for an indicator to tell him when to drop, but if he doesn't have that indicator, how do you expect that DB to break on a dime right now? He won't be able to do it, right? So that's how we have to approach things as a receiver. Don't get caught up in steps. Get caught up in this right here. Get caught up in actually staying in stride, actually keeping a good pad level, keeping my eyes forward, pumping my arms, and staying in stride with my legs, because that's what makes that DB commit to the fade. That's what's going to get him to shoot by, because if we get a DB running full speed, it's so hard for him to change direction and for him to make a break, because you see that sudden drop right here? DB ain't ready for it. DB is not ready for it. He's thinking that he's running a fade. Everything is a fade until it's not. Get concerned with eliminating time at the top of the break and selling vertical as long as possible rather than slowing myself down and eliminating steps. Now, here's the deal. Let's say you're already good at that. That's when we can start talking about steps. Because, yeah, the goal is to get out of every break the least amount of steps possible if you're selling vertical and if you're dropping your hips violently. It ain't about steps first. It's about selling vertical first and dropping on a dime first rather than, oh, I'm going to get out of this thing in 3 steps because that's going to make me fast. No, don't get it twisted. It's about selling vertical and it's about dropping your hips. Let's watch this thing again, full speed one more time. Perfect example of Judy by how it doesn't matter. You could take 5 steps quicker than 3 steps if you sell vertical as long as possible. Yes, I'm sure looking back, he's probably going to be thinking, hey, man, maybe I could eliminate some steps at the top of the break. For sure could, because he's at that level. But if you're not at that level to where you're dropping and you're just consistent over and over and over again, you can sell vertical until you drop on 1 step, then all I want you to worry about is selling fade and dropping your hips. Worry about the steps later, okay? So now, last thing that's going to make you stand out, last thing that's going to make you a great receiver is you got to be able to make difficult catches. You got to be able to make the plays that coaches don't expect you to make, right? The number one thing that I can't stand on people's highlight tapes when they submit it to colleges and all that stuff is that they'll have the first 5 plays and it'll just be routine, just slant routes, out routes, posts, whatever, easy plays that they expect you to make. Coaches expect you to make that. Coaches expect you to make those catches where you're wide open. Can you make those catches where it's an awkward placement, where you got to go up and high point it, where you got to catch a low ball? Can you make those catches, right? That's what's going to make you a great wide receiver. You do the things that they don't expect you to do, right? You do the things that make you stand out. You don't just do every single college receiver can run a 3-step slant and catch the ball. So if that's your first play on your highlight tape, or if that's in the top first 5 plays, you're probably not the guy yet. You're probably not the guy to get to that Division I level yet. So what you need to do is you need to work on your game and work on these difficult plays so you give yourself that opportunity. So you see this receiver here, he goes to Dartmouth. He sent me this clip, and this is a great example of this over-the-shoulder catch, right? This is a difficult catch. This is not just a routine fade where he's wide open. This is something, if he was in high school, he would include this in his tape because it shows that he has discipline and can catch this thing over the shoulder and being late. Now, how you guys can do that is really trust your hands, and that comes from over time. That comes from, working repetition drills, catching with your quarterback, grip strengthening drills, and all of that. But, however, when you're any difficult catch, it's your eyes, right? Your eyes are the main thing. And I made a video a little while back on YouTube talking about how your eyes are the thing that catch things, right? Your eyes are the things that catch those difficult ones. You got to take that picture with your eyes. Your eyes catch it first, and everybody's like, oh, well, that's common sense, right? Not everybody does it. It's common sense ain't common, right? So you got to make sure that every single ball's thrown to you, you're treating it like your eyes are watching this thing. You're seeing the ball hit your hands. Because trust me, when you start thinking thinking about that, the drops start going away, right? When you're just thinking, oh, I'm just gonna catch the ball, that's when the drops happen because you're inconsistent. But if you're constantly every single pass, bam, I'm gonna take that picture of my eyes, I'm gonna follow that ball. That's how you start making those difficult catches. And then when you're in a game, it becomes second nature, and then it's just easy money. So let's watch this thing again full speed one more time. So the third tip to make sure that you're a great wide receiver, the third thing that you need to be great is you got to make these plays that they don't expect you to make. You got to make these catches downfield and got to catch everything. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. I really appreciate it. If you guys have also any like video suggestions, is anything in general about the page you'd like to give, any feedback, I'd really appreciate that. So feel free to leave those in the comments below as well. And again, fellas, check out that very first link in the description, Route Running Bible specific, over an hour and a half's worth, 40 plus drills for route running and press releases. Hope you guys can check that out soon. Very first link in the description. I'll see you guys next time.